Proclamation of 1763 and the Stamp Act. Changes that were taking place in Great Britain soon clouded the colonists' bright future. A new king, George III, had been crowned in 1760. He was not regarded as a bright man. One historian wrote that he was very stupid, really stupid. He was also known for being proud and stubborn. He was determined to be a take-charge kind of ruler, especially in the colonies. The people George III chose to help him knew very little about conditions in North America. Before long, they were taking actions that enraged the colonists. The Proclamation of 1763. The British government faced a number of problems after the French and Indian War. One was how to keep colonists and American Indians from killing each other as settlers pushed westward. Simply draw a line down the crest of the Appalachian Mountains, said George III. Tell settlers to stay east of that line and Indians to stay west of it. This was what the king ordered in his proclamation of 1763. To Americans, the king's order suggested tyranny or the unjust use of government power. They argued that the lands east of the Appalachians were already mostly settled. The only place that farmers could find available land was west of the mountains. Besides, the proclamation was too late. Settlers were already crossing the mountains. The British government ignored these arguments. To keep peace on the frontier, it decided to expand the British Army in America to 7,500 men. The Stamp Act. The British government had other problems besides keeping colonists and American Indians from fighting each other. One was how to pay off the large debt from the French and Indian War. The solution seemed obvious to Prime Minister George Grenville, the leader of the British government. People in Great Britain were already paying taxes on everything from windows to salt. In contrast, Americans were probably the most lightly taxed people in the British Empire. It was time, said Grenville, for the colonists to pay their fair share of the cost of protecting them from Indians. In 1765, Grenville proposed a new act or law called the Stamp Act. This law required colonists to buy a stamp for every piece of paper they used. Newspapers had to be printed on stamped paper. Wills, licenses, and even playing cards had to have stamps. Once again, the colonists suggested tyranny. One newspaper, the Pennsylvania Journal, said that as soon as this shocking act was known, it filled all British America from one end to the other with astonishment and grief. It wasn't just the idea of higher taxes that upset the colonists. They were willing to pay taxes passed by their own assemblies, where their representatives could vote on them, but the colonists had no representatives in Parliament. For this reason, they argued, Parliament had no right to tax them. They saw the Stamp Act as a violation of their rights as British subjects. No taxation without representation, they declared. Some colonists protested the Stamp Act by sending messages to Parliament. Loyalists simply refused to buy stamps. Patriots, however, took more violent action. Mobs calling themselves Sons of Liberty attacked tax collectors' homes. Protesters in Connecticut even started to bury one tax collector alive. Only when he heard dirt being shoveled onto his coffin did the terrified tax collector agree to resign from his post. After months of protest, Parliament repealed or canceled the Stamp Act. Americans greeted the news with great celebration. Church bells rang, bands played, and everyone hoped the troubles with Great Britain were over.